Sinut sililani tyhtsene asuttene koalats että taas enne taisin anet anetti. Sanoen teet ehkä että taas kun tiek en tallilani asut lautuseen sahuti. Massi. Där skick auto kokonti. Radik auto la chokwait tsekena tsekontiga. Rattene kotesi ejo kotlin tets en auto titi like entalilani senesu etina hente kokwa kontet asenesu kaniki winti honte kutse konane chotets en auto takkeiti khani gairalani shosanata sekoke iwaginte era khatiti Gambi khani khwets ek chogal ki tekek en dalilani khu thak khwejago lasi senezu menata seko tsele keti atati khwesi de thi go so down to the nation not a day go de thi da do ni tsi khani thu khani me gaida a jon cloud asi nisats ulegeti Na kutiasi county ni deje kotlin dets and gau the day dia chokat high lane kanishes on gala get the waginte eradi le unkilaj metso kotlin dets a down to menata si segots a lesi a 2030 nuni then de kushe go that's wageti Erati kotlin dets a currents and geti down to na currents again is you segots lesi ejila 2030 a kushes and segots ulegeti Ida yunta 2050s and do uncles ida Asian shoe mates only lani down to the menata segots and the menata sambanits in the Nadia sila Thai hats and cregots at simi lani Asian shoe it down to the ajonta coat in si sene is you good to see Asian down Uki haso kega tageti era tene go te city asik hanits eketi la kesi koneut ele ida le hat hanet ese gotlin dets and out the day dia she don't do cross sets elias esi je kajets ongala get down the whole 20% accused like insunity In dein Detanet heiße Gotlin dets and other kakue hone old highly lanit a kanits and geja Gotlin de cook Asia gogin lound a as sabanage go check me check quake dating gots in dida go nane is go doing quagots and ethits and geja on da currency clearing quagots or jati quake kanita konata se gogin lound a gedi. And at the sea la semet all day ada at the sea at Dizens at 2022 see a QIG ajo in Kaneo get dagots at Meltana Thani de Catulimets or Kakwa degeti. And at the sea county la Ijila no daily lanish in Kakin round degeti at Aji Quengots et seats at Gedi. And that Ejila mets only lanage or Gotlin dego Asian gotin Quengo get CC Ejimet Alina Quen Cotanesia got egedi mets o Kakoi Lekani Ijek et a ante asunti. Eratene go desi kati eti asi ajon thaute tanita ejesi sets la hasa 2023 kishe sonjon shegonti kakelea erate di like entalina denek au de go gonane mi denets eke kontagalegi de kontagots eke gonane ameki fane de galageta eke go zo in sabanaja meche kweke go helilani asi sege ingedi erasi county de du najat anko den die da she met only gotlin desia josik et a denit and die massiten agote in ajo ami ajon thaute edicho sets agint esis e massiguru sinatandi Erati gaudela se kontats agensialats et asengedi Eratene go desi edicho I satsome chik ela choidani agasi ji sen na met aude aund edi erati metsogalats et dasi undag wats edi kontasujes onjet ageni agaze go o eda edi ami departments ego hela get dasi eji satsome chik edi katin dat enogo kelilani I kontaje klegeni go on peze kinsi ejia ajon dag gots on let's gegedi da ti khanitlega gots geni de met on kha unta ajon saute metaga laita so kunithia da ti khanega lageta city satsome chinkeli choni ani de unta ko gotlinde go asian kha jones o metso galaita ga so soa da asian de konatsen haita jagots Asian metso on Canadian gu jale kanyuk en dalilani gotlinde gots Canadians le helilan hanezu galat eta what's in there ena te galata metso o galata suajik eli satsomechink eli chota geni de metso khothashun henezu la geta gots on dia mitenek aude ginisi AGC se gots o unta gotlinde go Asian galata suwa Ena tene ko te shusika di laute dia jito galata kametso galat eta wani de ena ejo Dokut insiji sene zuna hetaiti tiketi Chidisa 2018 140 million samba Canada soajo Trans Canada's National Trade Corridors ke digis keda sabadigenida edaji la kita ondida dai satsumbichink eli choke kesi jasu simbeta kwatsuta keti edaji na taseko ke lia satsumbichin donida ke ingoti ejikutin petenia kili sis ekishe sono age seketi Inda indi highly lanita etiajon cloud decision cooking de und ena khatiji dene et atinte gots on kontrats egala katle hegala geta waginte inda asian shu sahtu secretary cookie digi gots on peze kits et dene gots on je to lead asia et atinte dege de gots on je clicking lins egala gite ke asian shu ka jon go heli lanits at County de ajon se heli lanit itene now that's ajon sautemena tanitsu dageti ena ko nane si kluk 2022 si kishe so ajon mena taseko tselegeti ena koti sa tu gots on dechu region e kishe go tha kha eti ajon tanita ke lasi kontats in di und gots on mo gots an de und Edati me gunti sika ajo met atno daily lani danida satsombechi ikeli choke kesi edati ami khani eji chugot ane let's agala gete kela kha 2023 so jo saute gunti khake lea Edaji gotlin dets and out the sea, Ejiko di isatsomechi eli choni asi, Ejiko nanejetzongala getageti. Enda koti county de eji Downtida ke lasika ajon is fanegoti kelike ke siejon saute so ke lakoketi. Eda eji koti is Peteni asi eji metsashi deni a peteni a petseki kone kishe swangelea eraji la 2020 kiso gotlin dets and aude atle petseki dageti sia jon saute si kon dagetia eta indi chia des asi dia minne gots and tuntle gwage chisi ete dia let anya ke gogeti inda iken dalila gots in dedak a shudike we dageti erana hishu Petseki gots o eji negots a twin let's get the city din shuajon cloudy in leke wet that I should kuna gugenithegeti in that melani it they are see eji la shuk I kishe galats utageti la clicking gots o hone do thalesik out in details kai de diagala that's getanita kugne the eji la hat also kugenithiageti in that the amik hanicho sit gets gala that they like entalila the neck out they got to go none cotats and Katia Simet out there on the dust and is nuclear hegala get dagati must sit in a go there. Must sit in a go there. The bad shots and cake out there. And I must sit in a go there. And I cut it to Senek Ashu Aurora College, see, as you give Dene Thanty. And I she go to ticket the Pema Chassi, she cures or go on see as you want it, Cindy. And I cut the Ejila du thalisi ajon llaute e cwse jo gotlin deja dauged ethiont edi e ki 1967 e ki chungot on sampa gilets on tauge the gukedi eji metso o pema charge on only lane gotlin de guk eji a cwse ajon guane tatsek ya gokin laund e da kitsenets dutsenets a like cwse ajon llaute sitsek da guagone tengedi eji Era tene ako te si e jo du thale e Aurora College si ki sene isu ako kin lale lant elegeti Era kati sila kaine the se kushe dichua it e kwenke it e kwenzo dinga se ko gulegeti Era e ji pema cha ko ge le du te zo si tlatake balant edi Era kati sinshu I pema cha si sene isu in daon na se gulegeti Era e ji pema cha like enta lilani kata ho e konzo juk enta jo gotlin de ko Asian ko guakone tea son de dutsene e glani kagonti hunt edi Era tene ako te si e ji ami itle kwets e gaude in lisi ka danet e lilani jo kako in da unt Era e je pema cha so e kwage liagedi inda e Eta za 2019 e kishe sonjo thaute kokin launde gedi. Eta ejuni za 2020 khati eji tase kondani da sonjo si seke liasoni gedi dati haitat det on chosa ki eji kwe kone gots si gaile gedi atladi pema chakhania sit akokin launde. Eta inti Egonji za ekushek e zat isi ekua I nezi akokin lagedi. Da sin la keine thendi go nane si ajon senezi go nata seko tse lega zogo o. Da sin la keine theka jons ojimetso university nezi go tse lega zogo o. Da Enta lilani eji pema chaso kane intazo eji kanit lekwe kone chakots elianzo o Era khati jo amit lekwets ek aldin lisi je pema chak alde sonko hethe tagadi Era tutsene zununi theni deji alde tami kelandi Masitene Haver South Masitene gode. Era kati eji katlo detse ke 27-28 se kushe eji kontratse ke kyse gotsu legeti. Era koti tene gode si e kua e ko e ki hatswats uletseti. Era kati Eti asi countini deji kwets is intlennats diga katule ji gudin kwenkots etsion de daji da hoi metso online disonigeti da indi da zeli lanit a eji ajon thaude mi egats in da und era khati ji da hundi gudin kiko onsi khatili go nane kwenkots etsi sondi era khodi jotene ago desi Eti asi countini de eji metso only lanit ata se konta kashet ageni azago o eda eji la I darte duno it's ending eji nits o dageti kanu dila unki hono on dins ot agin lageti ena koti countini de domtita eji on dagete kwe ne aget isi Gotsatsu digeti ina kujiu da setane gotsati kani gotats ele downti asoni adatene go desi o kya kani de kwetse ke ko tsa ho tia kya ko de jilant eketi atla du kontrat kya si de tita on kya du tsene o ko te ke kha jo gala ke ta wakin te ena chon te tsank au de ta se e ji khau dia si a ke ta son ni thon tua kha ko wa thon tua wakin te ena ko ti tene a ko te si la thau de khane the ji tene ko gala ta wa te ta e chon te tsank au thu shu se khau dia si ta ga ke ta ga zo ko o ena ko je kyu she nyu ni de ni de e ji amik au de tsank e ji khane ko gala ta si me zo ko te ga ti Eda koti kaunti de ti koti kyo koti sin koti ake la si jona ke ni de ake nesu ke ga tani nesu de camp lakes ake all that eda kenete eda khati ta se edi chune zu ko tseti tsake khania ke tasoni ke di section 12(1)(a)c eki shela I kotlin de tsake etetia sampa khada ko tsake ti khauti da tene ko tsake ti wakin te eda khuti ti ajo si khane me ga tsetani de ti khane eji sene zu ajo saute ko tsake ti azo go o Eda koti ti mega tsetani te eji ta se khanik en ta ko tin ta unti ga sonte eda koti ti chokotlin te si ti amik au de tsanke ko ala ke ta si ete tin shwa si khanida ko tsa ho de sene si ko tsoko ke te has ko on ta de ti shu ko tin na tu su tso ke tin de mo she tse je tsanke ko na ke tin ko tin na tsane tek e shu ko na ko ke ti wa kin te eda koti u ki kotlin te tsank au de ko ala tsen ta le ni de eji the kotina tsane the kya tsetini te silano sampa zot anko tsoku tiketi eda khoti ko nane na du ju shu khaketi tene daga tsu tatsani deni de Calgary ji kwa ke tale de Edmonton kwa ke tageti ena khoti asi county ni de khiti chu ko zo Edmonton zo so ko na ke dilaut e in de thane ke tin ko ke ti ena o kya khani tene so wala ke tale de county ta tik ena ke ti da Calgary ena tu jo ke ta son de Eda cho kotlin te tsank au de city county tene ko na ta se ko kin laund eda eji tene shukha kha kin ti edi cho kotlin te si a jo si khon te thike ti eda khati khi ti sik ent a atsul te siut ele khani ho a jo asile te lilani tene ko na ta se laga go o hamte ni te kotlin te tsank au de khani a jo ko heli la si se ko ke lega go o eda khoti taun ti ta si son sampak Thini digit ako tsoke ko kenti aso go o Enuvik twinle eda khati tene ako tesi eji enuvik si eji ko tinte egalai tasi ekweko ke si tene gili ko agen chiketi ena khuti taundi da khothatse ke kha khani tene so kweko ke siwa ke te tane da ke galai ta ko agen chileketi ena eji ko that's eji khothatse ke tene khani si ga te galai ke ta ke kha Dileji khani kot outse ti soni county deji sampa ke si tuten kotlin te so ko tsoan te ga khandi ho eji ki kha tha tuetene ko thala ke tasi ke jegala ta kot on telegeti atla tu gala tse ta ani de eti asi county ami khani te sampa khojena ta ni tasi jegala ta ko wa kin chiun e ena khut eji ki kha ko kin Legeti ena khuti la it's entire la mel sin la lat no li lanit a eji tene lega la tamont ogeti ena khuti tu tsene eti ami khwets e gaudin disi eji sene zin son tame khega Edati county si egala te ko unt oni de sene zu ko tsotse te zu ko on thon tie di chuna te zon thauke te si ede dia así son tue ejit agalaita teneko nata niki le lant eda ete shu son tu tenko tagala ke taketi ena khati khoti khakot eni deshi chonko hegal enta ko he out in le lant eti and you vek twin glades Yellowknife North ena khati chon Gutlin debts 31 million kanet so ajon saute iasi samba kanita ya leont and da 21 million si ya den slot ingeti and da la nahishu kontats and tuzont kake zene tu kanits get si and da khati joka ajon Edicho tane te galake tasi dicho ageti. Eta 20 million sampa kanet ego zot in si ami kania sits ke galake tasi din soa jondu she sits au the ont egeti. County ho na hishu kimetso only lanik eta kagot elega kimetso asats in delegati. And I could in 1998 and so a jitlenat se kanikut a kaki a kaniho ki modes in delegati kak action o kuno heights up. And I told Dene go there. And I could deji contats and get dicho canicua galata go see a good deji lound and I had the outline dead on a day heights on chocotlin deads and all the day dishuki eji contats and get the neocots I get the lound and the kishi then a lesson cooking or seji she's on some by you get the lound and I county Etiasi county ni de na hishu kwekots any de koti samba kanina heads or any de edicho samba gilisi etitishuki go nane contats like e the neck all the go hegala get dale kasi heels and honey asio go get the loud elegati. Atlana hitani tagalat etak esi senezi segotsvilets leti da khot iti ami khani khothats ek aude indisi khakyushe nyuni deni de metsokin delandi masitene agote Great slates ek aude eda khate gonjin za hono on thai si Eji Titan si eji saute go di tapet anikinin degeti. Eda khati eji teneka it's in duno lilane ekushe go di klits ogets ekishe sagiat ingeti. Eda khati eji quinti si ekushe ajon saute go sita quakin dageti. And I could eji tenela katha kushe no cloud kanite chintanake dewagint and eji shuki sene zingo he agujaledi edia sila Selat and on kuno on ki high kushe so eajon site asegokin laund And I could yasi countenance denik and talilanisi in dago asenes in segots elias go o atla Asian shuka asi kushe the lason de geti. And at the din shu asi countenance de senezu asi kanit alageta again eon de go geti. And I could eat yasi countenance at dining day. Asian shoe on care the asi county senes got aliens go on in that go clean dates think out the sea in tetare the sea kinesi go hair got illegati in our dicho nuts at tegats and equity got a nuts a ze caniga at thats a day at a iont a and I do in the nation the nego hair got in the land ele and I Eji ki gonji za hono thai so ekushe that ego tsanade de enak hadi ki edi cho eji takyu jaki sekyu ki shonelant ele ena khati dia se county ni deji kisen nezi dene go geli chale laut ele on da go dezuan hlun deji go taki at igadi ena ko deji gotlin des like all the done it nezi dene go he okay alle laut ele di ena ko de dase ejis gona dase go kin la dante soni ena khati khoti un si se kyun der se khani ko gi oni de ta se khani se tsona ke te tanti ga soni di grace de tsake na hen de tsake all de masitene agonde eda Pauline Akotla ete dinaje ku degesi BC alizan ki 1933 kusha meginli denek ela mezila go ha gi agenti eda kuti ete dingo to mecha sam ete dinkia ki atsele sa go ti atla go hulegeti Kakotla hani de me to Margaret ete din la shek e kongo din the Jolie Buke DC Konzo Nake Te Kontako Gain Lake D. A Kutzen is a down did not a ze miat he thoughts in see Asia Jom Milane to a dua deja goes on Tatage the whole day. And I killer Francis Bertrand a dua clack on so kuni clicking the goes on she goes hono kiss on Kishako Ginkling goes to deja Kaneteko Ginisho. Organisation. Eda Pauline got on Francis see de Diana ke se swake in Canada galageta. Eda could e de dikageti onke a si canigalats et da siki a si ne child led founded deja goes on deja go enti goes on go near tongozajon then go near tongund e. Ena kuti ete tinla eji ajon sene zintene go hegala da kyujin dek deja go heati dekale de jen dek ekugite go gedi la set e ti eten go nane lu go no de e si asi kaudero semet out meanezion de Eratene go desi pali county night low goes on county tene unie twint e county sene zu a jigging goes on die clashu and I me tene goes on me check he me jean ki goes on me chunk jean go hi leon e ka me tuet hai me ja sun la goes on me chat on due kanik ala jet la go gen dion e ko tene go de ha Ejimot in county son kunani that I can my theatre. Masit na gote and I had in a he should do her contago nuts any they once in a gate. And I did to mid to that kinja gate decision. We must go to dig a day.
When this government is looking to delay projects, it has to prioritize those that impact the most vulnerable. For Hay River, that is the extended care facility that supports seniors and persons who require 24/7 care. This facility is needed and cannot be delayed until 27-28. Mr. Speaker, will the Minister of Health confirm when the demolition of the H.H. Williams Memorial Hospital will be completed? Thank you.
Masi Minister is he Mr. Health and Social Services? Is he member? Is he can is that in he can now get there? Does he call Mr. Speaker? Is he minister? Is he a Jean? Is he Otadi gets a dick a crank that get there? Does he Mr. Speaker? Is he a Jean? Thea get in. Thea got in. She down the does she key Woodland Manor. She key Kode me go sa kuchela shi kamti ta shi tene shi ason tene shi kula tsa tene na kete tla tauko kereta ta shi ta sa go koni ishi long term care go getsia shi kuki kamti go ta ta shi kamti tsa go tini te un ta tla tauze da go de shi ta shi Mr. Speaker masi Ishi masi ishi kamti ishi kamti kulen kutsen tautse da kulia ishi ashi kamti ishi government ishi like ishi government ishi kamti tasi kure match kutsen kala kente ishi tase minister ishi tase ishi tase katule ishi kwen ko ketsi ishi nesun sena ketle ishi woodland manner ko he ko on keleri tashi Mr. Speaker matsi ishi Mr. Speaker shi kamti shi koti ko on shi kamti say su nesun ko ketsendi tseke ko kendere tashi kamti say su nesun ko kekendi shi sa la kakotia shi tatse ila ishi kuna department ishi kamti di kode me ishi detli chu da ke ita ishi kamti ishi kwentu miken shuna tsentini detu ishi ko getsi da Mr. Speaker masi tashi kamti project ishi kashi ko kegala kente ishi se kamti ke gunta thi kegala tashi tasi ishi kamti ishi tasen kulen kolina ko getsi ko kentauli tashi minister the Mr. Speaker she kamti member committee sina tashi department kashki kocho ishi kamti tamti infrastructure kegala kenta ishi he river goes tene ishi kamti go he gala kenta ishi sanda ke shi ko tishke health center go koni go kako wa kelia shi temele du ishi Mr. Speaker masi ishi the second minister she down non-BIP county met down the Northwest Territories she tlemu county kirko getsi it's atenti she down the guija ishi Mr. Speaker she county she member she needs doesn't case she county utli Takotsele kevde shi ti tamdira contractor ishi kibib metsalikanu megatsani shi kamti says to get to kwakente ishi bib policy kamti shi tene sulaya bib shaki ton shi tamdi da ki ta shi kamti tene kamti tene ne kenetle shi kamti kwets kerau getsi kamti ne kelamdi da shi department go he konte shi kamti se su shi ke garde ke kamti gale kenta shi kamti ishi tamdi da shi kamti contractors ko tiene que ta shi kamti ko ta get in the tamdi da ko hetsa galatanda kautse Mr. Speaker shi konisiga ishi company ishi ami ishi tene shi koti kyo tene nikene tle aketi ta shi kotla tle ishi kamti tle kotanene ishi kamti ishi koti electrician ishi kamti plumbing ki kota zetili ishi company eti di harde da malande ta sitla tatsinda ta shi etu luke du ta ta shi chun nyane theke Dashi kamti shi tamti de dashi tamti da bib business kashandi ting kamti ko tse tamti da tle kamti on tele shi tamti da 4% da gulia gunte tamti da magaw ke gamni o Dashi Mr. Speaker must see got a member she come she down she come koni quite long got a she come she Northwest Territories go as dashi come contracts like that the Gotlin Tesha Lamdi dashi come business rights she territories Queenly dashi she come Sigakani she come contractor she come is she come come Dene Zhatıé she come contracts come lamdi da she come housing go hegalat and da is she tasi she come tasi she pep come again da she come tasi is she sa galakenda tasi ka go galakenda Dashi Mr. Speaker Kalasiga SCT come eti company she come she mechanical so hamdi she come tasi come I get in damulan days Tasha she come she come she then come gala ite she cancel she do got she come eti come company so crack that she me come beb got she come mulan she come samba go come she come she then she come crash so get see samba she come got she send out let she go beb got she got I could you me beb met Dashi Mr. Speaker Masi got she member she come contracts got she come dasi come she is it then kele she alarm go hoidi dashi got she dasi go ties ya she go she come she say sure me went da got is she say Su midnight in the she come she is she member that she come say siga negotiati da come egalanta Dashi Mr. Speaker she come she count corporation housing out the housing corporation NWT she come corporation crown corporation has a samba meje at she can policy she can she samba shun can me tere count she can ta see she down the me guardia set she count government crown corporation it department cuts it department cuts it Mr. Speaker she down the come she NWT Housing Corporation the policy and she says she can she tamdi tasi garde galat and she can a be policy she garde galat and she Northwest Territories she then na get there she got in na get there she got us India it cuts it here Dashi Mr. Speaker she must see got a membership must see she housing is she come she WT she found it as she already getting that they dealer she can say sumo point you de that she come did somebody care got I say su de is she I mean that's a cake continue gonna Mr. Speaker must see is she minister education ta se catalyst as a condition she Julia quite is she canti is she galat and dog the university headquarters got at the batch granted is she polytech campus go get see tam diote that she minister education culture and employment that she come she college go tele that she can is she come she rural college Julia in Lila go see tam di college go hegaland di Julia gondi that she is she college is she take it and di care going there she come she is she come go the corporate like got and done it she force messages got she come take it and di care Mr. Speaker, Isi kanti nesu kanti si kanti tene lezung kanti si kegala kenta si minister si isi headquarters ke si university campus ke isi kanti government ke kuisi katse aunde da si minister si ki kanti si tene lezi kanti isi tuemi si Kwekwensi katesi isi Aurora College isi kantia isi institute got get isi university headquarters isi post secondary institution hideki kamti university isi kamti headquarters go get dili seme isi landio isi campus guli gala kite akonte isi kamti college university landi tathe lata isi kamti campus isi guli mega go agala ta kili sa kwili ante ese candete manen dia Mr. Speaker si kantishi esi kamti ksesu konti katse atene si tle landi kwesi katse aunt eledi tleket endi ulia tashi minister tashi force metashi education capital NWT tashi si commissioner 1967 kakachi leke tashi Mr. Speaker isi kisi kamti se sure kamti tuzio tele sondi tashi kamti gala tashi force mete shi kamti go out ne tatsa keshi kamti sambatsa ke kamti go tsain dishi go na isi go na kwen go landi tashi ka force mete shi go out ne ten go gedet ya gente Tashi minister she masi she kandishi she Mr. Speaker ishi tase minister tase katule sen ishi constitution ishi tabasha ishi kamti ishi polytech ishi campus comfort smith sate on tashi the member at tabasha masi Ishi Mr. Speaker, ishi goti campus kamdi tasi kuli lagala kenta tashi ishi Fort Smith ishi college guy tle kenti akente ishi kona campus jaquin li ishi tishi kam go agala tasha kuin li akwente ishi takotse ke Mr. Speaker Takoreke Health Minister of Health Goods and Social Services is a minister she tamdi da she kamdi per diem goods she kamdi hotel not that she tamdi da she shots in lini de tamdi da goods akendi da she Mr. Speaker is she kamdi da segre ke masina da she kamdi cute and de is she healthcare is it like Isi kamti tase tene kele kente magai kwa isi kamti public health care kente isi kamti asuntle isi Canada Health Act isi tamti go tsautim tekere tamti isi tamti ta isi go nehuenti isi medical travel program isi kamti Dene gotsogendi ashi samba keokesi kamti nite kamti shi kina gule kamti go kane ta kamti ke 90 eta shi kamti NWT shi ashonlet shi meti bene health plan ta shi kamti shi Ishi then she kamti she $80,000 sheni te katuli boarding homes and I get there she kamti na kene te she kamti she owns go de ti she boarding home I get in alene te she is she kamti ni te $68 late go tsain dia she kamti te kene that she Is she Mr. Speaker Masi? Is she kamti she ka? Is she Ute chant she does a health and social service does she can de perdin got a hotel that got a gandhi ute what liakele she can take got a tea what liak she can teach she got it and I get there got the nakin deal data a cake and a quantishi. That she Mr. Speaker she come to masi tasigre medical travel medical travel is she ka ke one down there she come to per diem done that it got and yeah is she ka she more got and there got she come to mention that go get she that she come to she escort down there got I get yeah Gods she come to ta si se sure tam di gods she got gods and home got come di shot ata she ambulance that gets it there. That she Mr. Speaker, Masi, she come to GNWT benefit program is she Northwest Territories so he could eat hele I could she come to she minister she come to medical travel benefit she then she shown come to GNWT gale te got done it in there. Mr. Speaker, Masi, GNWT medical travel program la she a meet then she come to harde she do 80 egala ka kete she come to she a me come to GNWT she come to private employers come to tlaitha go nekenet she come to medical travel program is ya go tech go kekendi that she a me come to benefits go that is GNWT she medical benefit she compensation lam the amigo agala kite is she come to go collective agreement guardia quente is she medical travel is she $43 million and not can she 15,000 then rakinta 35,000 Thai lam di data $150 million she come to she has to tam di go sign di she come to she come to that tea kimoda ilia that tens got a millions dollars it do the 11 ha do make a the 10 not yeah that she Mr. Speaker is it does a policy Guli Galaganta she does a Calgary it says she can do medical travel is she go Galaganta she then a patient got that go not then she come to eat she got that is she Edmonton Edmonton Calgary and it is she come to he got landi go walk and she does a guli at the policies like it and deal she come to not say she nesingutli do that gotlin desert and like it there she then she minister got a health and social services she must see Mr. Speeder nesut does a case she do referral down the gotta get there is she Alberta Health got a social service is she a la lamdi go like and down nursing go get India is she Edmonton now nursing go get India got she go na is she can't boarding home can't is she medical travel contract is she come is she Edmonton now go tsata kendi she come she tadatha go daki yuli Edmonton ilende tek Calgary nesu ta go tsare keole she kasita sitle unats any theoli she come is she ta say Alberta Health Service ta say Calgary and is go get deal lam de she come de ta sinda minisum and that's any theoli she come de ta sinda is she Tennessee su de quats in ta oli she con Calgary and it is a medical travel go can I get dia ta she ten harde de come to go get into she NWT healthcare go get ni medical travel it diako keko onta ti harde ti Dene Zhatıé ontera. Tashi Mr. Speaker, she come di ta kore ke go tsane she ki she come di she me come di she di pardon ENR come di she come di go tsa de sia de she minister ENR she go don say she ENR chief marlo tsa go he go get go get ya go tsa gen de she come di ni de she go don na right she tlena gat chula da she Mr. Speaker she come di ta si un kilande ta sa get ke she come di she search warrant she arrest a kucha she tlego tse she concord sound the chief marlo ka she tlemets any she di ka go any chi kyotsation da she Mr. Speaker she come di Holland she come di in Holland she come di go tse hon ke tse ko kikula tsa la da she go don she re she come di she da she cord she come di ka kedeka da she come di she come di da she come di go ke on ki garde got inle da she Mr. Speaker must see she come di I garde got in search warrant night she come di she search warrant can okay da she Marcy, Mr. Minister, she come di, he go tlisi LKDF and go heko there she come di, say su de go Dene Kelly go hegalat and dashi warn kakade kaulini de dasi son come di galat and dashi come di tseli go te dene go te kona gulen de go te za go she come di she tatinde she goes them out in the she Minister ENR Mr. Speaker, she can the investigation about she chief arloads it's any she can go on she can the she make a galat and that she can the galat and that she can the she kala come the make out and deal Catholic Alamego got and they say political interference, Katie Metati, she can de mobile soon, is she officer, she come de, Egalakentashi class, he said, go conti segaki, kill the shot, Tashi si la she minister he ta go team at department she come ta go to your kishi she tene kele come she go hesa kala she minister she ta say she tene go get go get she nes and da ke go tseli go te so go tadi da she Mr. Speaker she ho is a tune de wale de she come de go ere ke does it kadesi is kashi de kadesi ka chief marlots and going de come de go hana ratia go kwen it come de mo go and de go down de in that de kakadi sinka kasha de sinka kasha out that she Mr. She come di he says sude sambatan at ekos ethile she come di contracts she come di is she federal government is she devolution is she lease come di kyono high is she come di tranly make onion as a she come di she come di is she tase katule she assembly kyoni de the samba and it ekos she says sumo de she come di ki kamdi tenashon ke shon shiga. She Minister Infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, she kamti she tue she kamti she tenetle kamti landlords she kamti real estate policy kamti nesioke she public konti she minister premiers and minister kamti ko kere kenni teso tashi kamti tashi Mr. Speaker masi she tashi kamti tuko ga kamti megarm teshi me kamti leases kamti onani me samba ko tsa ti tashi kamti lease ta ka kyono khaye on sound tashi kamti se su she de kelgas and she kamti kono khaye Lande ko on she ken tashi samba ko tse she kam ho tse she ken tashi se su megalat and she kamti kwen ko tse lisa tse ta ka tse ti tashi kono khaye she policy on the she ta se minister she kamti she policy kegalan dani dadi Mr. Speaker Masi Issy members Issy GNWT procurement review get going talk on that Department of Infrastructure she Department Executive because indigenous affairs goes on go not stakeholder department she come to say today de tai thi policy kulendi tai she policy go ti down the procurement review get the head the la go
when we can finally wrap up this
tai she go tlani the procurement review go ta la she ka she ta ko de ken she come the see office come the she come the is she 10-story? Is she office? Is she clay the culture the she down hono khaye she khaye tanet is she samba ko go at is she go to say lease she at a se katule I sell it the se katule department ko hat the down she can is she down did she take ding kagalat and yesha kikam dishi so yala knife she kon dishi kon internet leson go on tashi tase katule dikam di go on agele she kam di research at it is she Minister of Infrastructure Mr. Speaker she kam di down dishi kam di magat and the tladi katsati tashi kam di megarde at megalat and ta is she departments is she kam di programs kashi kotia geti koti great is she done it trying to great ya tase I sala gotium de kamtini de katule ko na kamti she kamti landlords rights hilia go on leoli Tashi Mr. Speaker she ka department ka kocho ke going ta du kamti she kamti chi ki kamti sene sin gala intale she kane se she kamti yalla neve she khan e chashi ko nam lande go tatene go giton ta she company di she the indigenous development corporation she kamti konti go Conti go out any on like high landi at least na charne te katore ko kere she come to go not then come to go she come to housing go lisa she tashi minister she ta se katole she go ti kwan development corporation shakuni ta se katole go he galat and ta go he se she come to kwan go ta ti she
The member spoke about
Da khadiji du thalelilani da je kontats ek khani atlai ami khujaki tsi se je khani ko na tsaken Dene Zhatıé na khuti etiasi khamtini de ajon hlaude ami khue khani na ko genti ko tsong tsong auge de si ji ko tsok tseta so ko e da kha jon du sta kha kon de ge de ko tsong je khatlo de tsak e ji ko Dene sun ko tsenti ko tsa ho di tsak e khu je shu ko tsong je Fort McPherson shu ko tsong 이시 가정고 핵하고 그니온데 고존제 페마 차슈고 딘 콩나게네틱 에이신슈 칸니긴 링운데게디 에나 카운티니 데지 고틀린 데자실로 타게 다니 데네 있지게디 맘푸이츠게 가우데 마시테네 아고데 Ena khati eji kutin se eji insenta zau kunoi kunti kai ojua desindi inda eji hon ejuniza okuno 2022 ekushe tsakega eji dantida ikontue tsakena tsaji tsake eji mukakuinda in lady ena khoditi amene zinko tsanti ko tsa hoti tsake si etetia eji county tsake zinko ginte sta 2013 so khanita khugini theode county ni data de tasi eji kaude eji ajon hlaude eji kontina tso khat je da sondi geti La masitene agote ena khuti masicho tasane khedi ena tutsane kheji me konti kehlele khani ho yuntanyuni deni deji senezu continental du sila jendi masi mafuitsen ke kaude ena khuti ejigonane ete tintase eji kontatse khani konthuetse egala jega kintia sitamtu da je konti khake daga sonidi masetene akonte eda khadije metso only la menata litle khani netsini da honte eda na hishuka ji konti sikha jonna jini tsini tsiunde eda khode tute tsak aude sikha ta hojo kindi shonsone de eji khotha tsak edi asik khaundi tane ko tsak sikha jon khania ke tawa kinte eda eji la kha jon khani tsak eta ko wa ne tho ko tsak ko nanya me ko hegala ke ta sikhani ko sake tias ko ena khote ko nane yuta mola de so konthuetsa ke na ke ji so khwetsa ko again te gaini de eji shu kha jon thaute I konata se ko tselias ko era khati kha eji semenata mala tseta ko tsinte mam phuitsa ke kaude ena khati ejuniza o kuno tsakesi eqi minister green jimetso ko inteda khaisi sitileta se ejin jogotlinte ko keji e konthuetsa kesi ga tsenti tsake nezuna tseji khania khwe ko takhage chetamti ga sonde ena eqi khainti ena khati ji taunti da chokotlin tets eki county I dinlilani itane ko nata se ko tsela khase thiats in laketi ena khati eji itane hloki ko thage itane geti ena city le eji kontrats eketane khanet esi chokotlin te ko eji kontua gentia ko tsanda tsejits eki khwetsa gate isoni gonti masitene agonte ena khati dikhi ajon tlaute eji tenet eji go de jogotin de go eji kwenti lilanit a eji kunthuet kenat eji a tlaute kwengwin la in le eji tenet go tswa de kime gondi sets on ledi edasika go that's I ka ami khani tenek au de jaki indi khani ko tsanke go tsun ko tsante unte atlatina tseji tsanke eda de tin shutik au de dajin kheta eji shwasi khani ke tani de khotha go tsanke si sene isu a jo tlaute jogo khadina tseji tsanke go na tase go tsetla so ko onke di masi da khati eticho I met akots antena hets on I dem beta chi de khatu de tu met eti manfuits en kek out there ena khati city le ejik out there eji goti I kwentin lilani tanita kise nes internet out there da city le nata di soni jendi eda khati masit tena kote ena khati eji na tseji ke eji la ki tene lotue get out de telegate ki ko ta khati ni tho ena khoti eji la thano tso khotwe wa tsendi tsake go ne tho eji la ko ta kha kya chiunde eda khoti eji go tso tse tiani de hlatin le de tsendi dai tse ko ta tsi izogeti ena khoti eji ko nane shutene ko hegala ta shu ko tsi a ko de jilante ena khati e khio inta molante tse ke te tin khane na tse ji tse ke ko tso tse ti asi eji ko tso ko tsinte eji me tso only lani tenes khasane de ko ko tso ke ti ko ke ti eda eji la kha tene sanet elilani inta ko tswa geti kontyot ek ena geji tsek e herver sauts ek au de masit tene akonte eda khati eji goti se I onta ko ke ditsek e tene thenti eda eji tanho kana ko ke lia se tanho ka sampa tlon je zon kyo ke thi asunti ina ta se ya mi ko he e ko de ko he gala ki te ke ta se ji ko he se ko ke le tanti ga suni health and social service and ke ka de masit ne ko te ina tene ko te se eji stu sampa tanet e ko tse si kamena ta sampani tsini vaunde khoti ki lizo na ko ke le gani de ena ji dikotin e khanine zi ko tsa ho ti tsa ke ji khwe ko osi e ji shu e kha jo thaute me tha ta tlesoni ke ti masi here results and ek all there igat khati eti fiankot idat khotiu ta the sanet eta ho ejigo inega soni ina khoti county ne dejigo nane woodland manor ge dejigo di ota kwengo onsi ejin shuka ejigo de moko tsante unte ejila du thale tuko thale metso onlilani ajon kwans neziana ko ke leaso on health eji social service like all the masit tene go de masit asne kejendi it doesn't like kind thenti eji go din 2018 soni je lots on ko getsion de jika natsane te hluli lani ko lots ko getsion de geti eji 90 ko again dit eji go so hone lani ko gin laund e eji go din se kwe eji ka da hono ha zo e kwe he ko nei singa so ni di Ita intaluk any de senes usual cloud asimigats etaga. Kanini deji woodland manor gate DC eji da saying dark alajet auge thi down dia sondi. Ida kuti countini deji samba DC eji gudi ota kwen kone go get siji jets only lani son satage daga. Ina khati du thale jok aude ju khakuinta ina khati jila khata the hono chen thane ji the laun eketi ina khuti woodland manor si eji shu ku menata se ko tsele ini de ta ho asiket an te ga sonti ina khuti ji khatlo de tse ke khasi ti lilane je tsungala ke ta waginte ida ti amigo tin tse ke shu ko khwe ko ne zin le shu eji da se in data go te tsini te me tso se ko tsele down dinga soni di da ka de je have results ke ena masit ne go te ena khati eji in down and thai high nuni de ta hi ta ho ji se zim in tleke ta tlega soni di Ita kuti county ni de downti da eji cloud menata sampa khane ni ki da ga sondi atla eji ne zu ko tsenti tseke ko tsa hoti ji se ne zu ko nata se ko ke le za ko o ena kuti jo a me ne zu ko tsenti ko tseke ko tsa hoti si ji ka de na tsa kon te ga era te a ko te si Oh, kea kati ta ho e kyushe e te ti e kontai tani de ta ho simbe kenti ga suni genti. E da kati na hishu e ji taunti da i kwe ko tseke a jon saute e ji la in teun ki hailani tene tai ko hega la ke ta ga kati ko nata se ko tsin laun te ti. E da kati Ejila ka tene on kililani e go tsa di khani tsa ke go tsa khotha tsa ke on ta te khwa ke eni de ji shu tene on kilani go hega la ke ta khani menata se tsin down de di ida ji theta zeni lani go khani go hega la ke ta tsa ke go tsa go nane shu etika du haili nani go tsa ta ha tson ji go nata se go tsin laun de Ida kuti duk en dalilani unta tse eji hlaute in onta keudi ke kanila I 2019 tse ke kyu ke nihti data huk en dalina ko nezing asuniti. Da kadi masitana ko te. Ida kadi suti le eji 27-28 siye kyu shea jon hlaute se ko tsule ke di. Ida atla 24 Foto e du da te du no ki fe la that's and tano so in lani dene ziwandi. Masitene agote. Eda kati eji downtit a eji da te go in and out edi atla in te hono hats eji letanet e kanits egin lasi eji gaya ke iunte. Eda kuti eji le mots in da eji din halani mots et da untit a eji metso onila da ho asikuli ante ga sondi eda kuti countini de eji kwetanet e etla eji unta kiko ke sisi eji ga ke taga ke ilia ke ti eda kuti eji downti da khatlo dets eji keta kukin la je pema chasi eji shu I pema cha unta kiko ke sisi eji ke ga ta khani ta kin la unte ke ti Eda kuti na hishu khani de eji a jonsi khani unta ko ke tse ji se met out de gaunte Eda kuti eji asi county lila du thale si a jon thaute sene zuna henta du sinetenti eji tene sanet e si a me je gotlin de khani unta kwe go tso thau ke thi a si a jon itleke go zi ta tle hunte da masi Yellowknife North ek aude. Eda masi tene agote. Eda khati ejila on da kwe din lilanit ahu kakokinte da khati kakachane on kuno hande lilanita ejits ke I agency se kokin la da khuti khaundini de da se agence ko ke ligason de eda je yellow knife north ke eda khati masit ne ago desit asne ke eda khati na hinshu kha Ejikonane amik hani kuagala ke tasi ejishu eti amik hani kyone shi khotsek ek hani kuagala ke tasi ejishu kha kotsokotz inte unte di masitene agote yellow knife north ek aude Era khadi masitene agote era khadi ji khaide tare razon katla itame kheneti dida khuti da kyu chakhi semots in shone laut ele era di farm marshal ke dc ejin shuka jonzo ejin shumugots ante laut era khuti sitile shik aude sitile senesi dutsene zajije tsongala kin tasone yellow knife north ek aude Era di kyetse ke gaude masitene agote era khati sin shuti khaji wata di kha sene zimbegai taunte gozo nane eji atinte de kha gozo guite unte Era khuti county ko eji nane kha gozo gotsinte gozo tantida eji kyen se go ta khats e chia sondi era eji kyen shuki sene zin chole khani ho da se dio me gots ente tantiga soni di atla eji go ver me kyen se gala kita hisene zwe gat ine go keti Yellow knife north ek out there Era khati masitene agote Era khati dia si countini de eji go heta kwat in sene zintlega tseta go on atleji kwe go tsongo takha ke cheni de eji shu sene zu ke ga ta go on Era khoti etik out de tase eji sampatane te mezo ke tseti ga sondi Era yellow knife north ek etajinke Da masitene agote masitasene kejenti era eji on ta ke khani kwa kwe ko tsetsi si jere dele kweji semet out de onde era eji on ta sanete kala itleke gozita atleta eji ta kins on tauke te kala ko taki in ko keti Era khoti dia si countini de dia mich ko tsonk out de si ji met ko te ga go on Manfuits ek out de Masitene agote Era khati ji go tse ine zina tse ji tse ke khontwe tse ke si edia mi khani ne zi go tsenti go tsa ho ti tse ke aude ta mi khenethe ti e jo go tlin te go tse ki ju khani tene go tso ti da sene zu go na ta go one laut ele eda khoti u ta se eji go tlin te tse aude ta se khani je only lani sene zi kyo ke ataunti soni ke ti Era khati sene zu ije zo khako kin deni zu ati masi Era khati masi tena gote Era khati eji unki haili lanit a ejo egala ta se unt onsi kasi sanete eji khaude kyuditi undi era onkya tene khaikeni de onkya ji khontwa kyunti keni de era dala te chintha sidaga laita gedi dala khontha shua tsuti keni de gozon dala ejo gotlin te go agency kyushi go tsuti khanida asi khaniga tsuti kedi eta onkya khaundi de eti asi khaundi Kleson I konata the ola eji kontwa kyunti tsake eji khanitso ke tieni de khatule asi khandida jo konata se ko gedegedi ela khoti chokotlin te tsake kaude te tin ko sampat agoti und Manfuits tsake kaude Ela kuti gotlin dets and go the down to the asigulin kudi also negati atlago that's a sit not no get the cani hockey et a good jalet aji down to the cooking lasonidi. Gods antinesu gods anti gods a hodits and cake out there. Ela kadimasit then a go desi. Ela kutiu. Dihu di asi county mets of keko de asago de gilon edi ena kuti dihu da se kani mets o kako de la down de asonida dueji ajit atasin kedej mets o kako de la le Grace states and cake out there masit ne agonte Edak hati silaji edak hati edichu nes deswak etzaidits and kejilamets on deswak hanits and katzaidi enak hudish Department of Education Culture Employment C ejila ajon cloude e nesugots and digots a hodits and gagin launde edak 2020 CE ami sambak and dits and gejigunti kakin leonte edak dia hanit ekrens and gag all the C et de dian hati deswa atent ekren kugni thegots on ekren agent esij gotlin go Galen ka deswan duno on kililani that deswan kanigots a hodits and again laund egedi. And that eji like let on kuno take at that lehon egedi. And that ya sitami kenneth city le eji out the editing down to the attic honey ekrets and gay ajon cloud the megots agedi ekren go eji cloud the cooking last sonigedi. Eda city le ejik au the ide swan gots amigos a hodits and get lekwe tseket at senesi na tase ko gele soni ta se lekwe county au the si ejite swan gots and se ko gin la soni eda ta se ejit lekwe mig hani ko hegala ke tasi lekwe ko na tase ko gin la soni geti eda khutiti miats et tani de ejiko kunti county si down to the on cloud the si se ko gin la soni geti Edati de swan kanikots a hodits and gejigotlin dego gailin la e kanine zugots de swane zu kakeni alets and gagogin lound eda ete la jo in da danete hearts asia gate in si kani gogin lound gate edati a si a mine zugots and digots a hodits and mi kenethendi eda downtit a ejik au the si de swan kanikots and gagogin la soni at la Da se wanted departments and gay Asia make hanites when gots ake digo nania sit akuake gots ake disia kin lasoni. And a city lejik out there it is one gots and e hanites like you did and gay go get le atontiga soni. And a city le Asia des one gots and go hegala get the tonti soni. Eda kuti down to the nesu gots a digots a gots a hodisi down to the lekwe go hegala get da soni da se on days no gots on hani gots a hodits a ke sta seji go gondi kaki la soni geti. Eda kadi tene si editila 2021-2022 engage yesu gots entity. Enuvik twinleg. Eda tene te kotesi Asia Army ministers engage October 25th, 2021 siege kontimentats utlegeti. Herver sounds like ek all day. Masitene agote. Irak hati eji bill 58C eji laute eji la at dukak one ate jun kunijik gedi. 8.2 bracket 3 international silano once ending C edition so ge wait dagots okak one sojek tiagots a duhu ukililani jek tegedi. Ida dila atets hair salts and get out there. Ida kati ida jo QSG international silano on sin cluli si jo atets jo make utidi. Masik out there, hair results okay. And I cut 8.2 bracket 3C as you bill 59C de la get hits at a C dihajik as I get here. Goods on and shoe kililani so get wait that I get deep. Massit Dene agote si ida khatia si sulai lilani je mutsu tagedi ida khatia di chotene sanete jone jageti da je masikutsu digedi na hedets anke ida khati massit Dene agote Ina kati eji tsetsakedelins goods attended in lede Gladys region. Ida etetia eji se masi medicine thendida se masi jonatane digindi. Ida siko nane jotane masi gudu sinathen soni camblades anke. Masitene agote egati di ejon se jashuna tat inaje masi medicine thedi Yellowknife centers like Masitene agote Doreen Cleary Asian shu jointida Asian shu se masi medicine thedi Ida kodi jokonane si masi gurusinaten so satut like Ida si shu Doreen Cleary mari si dethendi Ida de dia dichon sambagili na de won't de masi berusinathendi Bill 232953, Edaje 37 bracket 2, AG 723 bracket 19 bracket 2, and Nuvik twin dates like AG Jetlande Tlaga.
I now call
Committee as the whole. Is she Madam Chair? She Bill 53 amended goods issue. She say she education goods culture. She say Cazon masitini na koshade tsanat intia.
Committee of the Whole back to order. Committee, we've agreed to consider Bill 53, an act to amend the Liquor Act. I will ask the Minister of Finance to introduce the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm here to introduce Bill 53, an act to amend the Liquor Act. This bill
Da khati ikhontuets entlenat si ejilajon tlaute yatsirtaketi. Da khoti ejila kontue o kedukte gotlinte zonket enide eji kontue taniteke insoni. Gotsoti gonan si ejila ajon si jenakete ina khoti ami o khani
officially updating the name of the Northwest Territories Liquor Commission to include cannabis. The legislative amendments proposed in Bill 53, as well as the more other significant changes that the department is working towards through the holistic liquor legislative review, will ultimately support liquor legislation in the Northwest Territories becoming more nimble, modern, streamlined, and responsive to the needs of residents. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Would you like to bring witnesses into the chamber? Thank you. Sergeant at Arms, please escort the witnesses into the chamber. Minister, would you please introduce your witnesses?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On my left is Billy Mackay, the Deputy Minister of Finance, and on my right is Stephen Flanagan. He is the drafter from Legal Division.
Thank you. I will now open the floor to general comments on Bill 53. Member for Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bill 53, an act to amend the Liquor Act, received second reading in the Assembly on May 31st, 2022, and was referred to the Standing Committee on Government Operations for review on October 7th, 2022. Committee held a public hearing with the Minister of Finance and completed its clause-by-clause review of the bill. The committee received no submissions on this bill. I thank committee for their efforts in reviewing this legislation. I have no comments at this time, but individual members may have additional questions or comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Committee, are there further questions, comments? Member for Cam Lake.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the Minister referenced in her opening remarks that the department is working towards phase 2 of this act, and I'm wondering if the Minister can provide a commitment as to when we will see the bill brought forward on the floor of this House for phase 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not in a position to give a specific time at this stage. I am live to comments from committee regarding their interest in the larger piece of this, and I have certainly been working in the last little while with the department towards being in a position to give a more specific timeline. It is certainly my expectation that we will still see the completion of the larger act within the life of this government, but again, I'm just at a stage of being able to confirm that hopefully before the end of this sitting. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Are there any further questions, comments? Is the committee agreed that there are no further general comments? Can we proceed to a clause-by-clause review of the bill? Okay, committee, we will defer the bill number and title until after consideration of the clauses. Please turn to page 1 of the bill. Clause 1, does committee agree? Clause 2, does committee agree? Clause 3, does committee agree? Clause 4, does committee agree? Clause 5, does committee agree? Clause 6, does committee agree? Clause 7, does committee agree? Clause 8, does committee agree? And Clause 9, does committee agree? Committee, to the bill as a whole, does the committee agree that Bill 53, an act to amend the Liquor Act, is now ready for third reading? Thank you, committee. Does the committee agree that this concludes our consideration of Bill 53, an act to amend the Liquor Act? Thank you. Thank you, Minister, and thank you to your witnesses. Sergeant at Arms, please escort the witness from the chamber. Committee, we've agreed to consider table document 723-19 brackets 2 capital estimates 2023-2024. We will now consider the Department of Education, Culture and Employment. Does the Minister of Education, Culture and Employment wish to bring witnesses into the chamber?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Sergeant at Arms, please escort the witnesses into the chamber. Minister, would you please introduce your witnesses?
To my left, I have Deputy Minister John MacDonald, and to my right is Assistant Deputy Minister of Corporate Services, Sam Shannon.
Welcome. Committee has agreed to forego general comments. Has the committee agreed to proceed to the detail contained in the table document? Committee, the Department of Education, Culture and Employment begins on page 17, and we will defer the departmental totals and review the estimates by activity summary beginning at page 19 with junior kindergarten to grade 12 school services with information on page 20. Education, Culture and Employment, junior kindergarten to grade 12 school services infrastructure investment, $5,623,000. Is there any questions? This committee, no. Member for Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I recall last capital budget we passed these 3 portables for Colville Lake, and the intention there was that was going to act as their school while it was completed. But I see now there's been a change here where Colville Lake School has been changed from being built to a planning designation. Can I just get a bit of an update of what the current plan is or what's going on with the Colville Lake School? Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Minister of EC&E.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the member mentioned 2 projects in this capital plan, Colville Lake School Planning and Colville Lake School 3 portables. The 3 portables are in the process of being constructed. They will be on the Winter Road in the new year, and they will be set up and ready for school in the upcoming school year. The school itself is still in the planning phase. As the members are aware, we have adjusted how we budget for capital, and so we are only budgeting for the planning phase, which is what we actually expect to spend. We're not budgeting for builds that we're not going to do. So we've been working with the band in Colville Lake. They've wanted to take the lead on this project, so we have provided them with funding to do the work that the department would normally do in the lead up to the development of an infrastructure project, and so they are doing that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Yellowknife North.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I recall, I don't recall whether it's public or not, but at one point there was some back and forth with the community because they perhaps had much larger intentions of what this school would be, including perhaps some community-based infrastructure in it. I'm just hoping if I can get a bit more of an update on how that work is going with Colville Lake and whether, this is going to be the kind of super school that it was initially planned as, or whether this is going to be just the school that is in compliance with our current kind of infrastructure guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Minister.
Thank you. So what we've asked is for the band to put together a proposal for a school according to the capital standards, Education, Culture, and Employment's capital standards on school projects, and then as well a plan for anything additional that they would like, so that we have a sort of a base model to go off of, and then we can look at additional things that usually aren't in schools and figure out if there's ways to find funding to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And can the Minister just remind me where childcare spaces kind of have landed in this debate? I know we have new capital standards, and I believe there was some intention when communities wanted to put childcare spaces directly in schools. Yeah, I guess I'm more generally speaking. Is that now our goal, or is that kind of dependent on the individual school? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
Thank you. So the new capital standards, which were approved in 2020, include provisions for childcare spaces in a school facility if the spaces are warranted. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions, comments? Member for Hay River South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With a number of schools there that, that's within the department and some of the work that I see happening, one of the concerns I always have is barrier-free access when we're in our designs, and whether all schools, even if they're aged, if they're being retrofitted to ensure that we have barrier-free access for all children and employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
Thank you. And the way this planning for capital works is that the department gathers up all of the different wants from the different school boards, as well as information about the state of all the different capital assets from the Department of Infrastructure, and then we make assessments as to what can be done with the budget. And we sometimes have enough for a new school or a retrofit, as well as a couple small capital projects. And the things the member is referencing, accessibility, ensuring older schools are accessible, those are my priority for when I look at the smaller capital projects that we can advance. And I think it's probably the departments as well. I think we might have been on the same page when I first got into this portfolio. But yes, I do prioritize those when looking at what projects to advance. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Hay River South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The other thing, when I think of schools, I think of, a healthy learning environment. I think of, healthy children, and, that improves learning capability, improves learning, I guess, for children. And, it allows them maybe to be role models and mentors for others who may, be kind of on the border of, not sure, what life's all about. But, so one of the things that, I hear sometimes in some of the communities is that lack of, whether it's gymnasiums or places where children can gather and sports and that type of thing. So when we're looking at, major projects like this, do we somehow look at ensuring that gymnasiums are included or would be included? Because it does impact health, it does impact learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
Thank you. So under the previous capital standards, gyms were included once a school hits a certain number of students. If the school did not have that base number or that number of students, then there would be no gym. And the gym that the school would get once they hit that number of students was small, and then it would gradually get bigger as the population got bigger. What we've done with the new capital standards is included gyms in all schools and increased the sizes according to the enrollment. So I know there are some schools with very, very small gyms, and we won't be seeing those anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Hay River South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No further questions.
Member for Cam Lake.
Thank you, Madam Chair. While we're talking about capital standards and accessibility, tomorrow night is the grand opening of a new school in Yellowknife, Eclos School, and they did a beautiful job on incorporating gender-neutral washrooms in the school, and so I'm wondering if that is a component of capital standards going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Minister Vicini.
Yes, that is covered in the new capital standards, as well as when we do retrofits. So when we go and say a bathroom is in need of repair and we repair it, we also use that lens as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Cam Lake.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Madam Chair. I think that's very important, and I'm happy to hear that the department has incorporated that. My next question is in regards to Mangalilic School, which is a major project up in the Beaufort Delta, and it says that the estimated completion date is 23-24, and so is it September of 2024 that we will that it is anticipated that students will first start school in that new school? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Member for Cam Lake.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. That's good to hear, and I know that I've heard from people in Tuktoyaktuk that are very excited for that opening, as I know that my colleague from Nunavut is as well. Given that project was originally awarded long before the pandemic and long before inflation and the rest of it, has there been significant budgetary changes to that project? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
I'd like to hand that to the Assistant Deputy Minister, Mr. Shannon. Thank you.
Thank you. ADM Shannon.
Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. There was some, before groundbreaking and the awarding of the initial construction contract, there were some scope reductions that were taking place to ensure that the project was brought within budget. As the project has moved along, there have also been a couple of other revisions, kind of really derived from the pandemic and global supply chain management. So for instance, one of them was the steel for trusses in the gym. We were unable to procure the steel in time, and it would have provided a 10-month delay to the project. By the contractor going back and working with the design team, a new replacement was come up with, or a new design was come up with using wood trusses, which reduced that delay by 5 months. So we've seen little things like that, some adjustments as we move along. But the majority of the contracts and things were in place prior to seeing the extreme shocks resulting from the pandemic. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member for Cam Lake.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So just so that I understand, so there was scope reductions and revisions to the design made in order to keep it on budget, or has there been a budgetary change to this project? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
Thank you. There has been no change to the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Cam Lake.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm wondering, within scope reductions, is there anything in addition to things like changes from steel to wood for trusses? Was there actual changes or loss to the community of what they will be receiving within the envelope of that school? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
Thank you. Perhaps for some detail on that, I can hand it to Mr. Shannon.
ADM Shannon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So some of the types of things that were adjusted as part of the initial rescoping during the tendering process were things like door canopies, an outdoor fire pit, some changes to the parking lot design, some exterior railings, things like that. A stage curtain was removed, some roof lanterns, some metal cladding, things of this nature, really. So things that are cosmetic but not primary to the delivery of the education program. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member for Cam Lake.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you to the ECA staff and Minister for that. As far as Chief Jimmy Bruno School and Colville Lake School, which are both in planning phases, when can we expect to see the transition from planning phase to building phase within the capital acquisition plan? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister of Vicini.
Thank you. So we're approaching these projects in a much different way than has been done traditionally. And we're not even approaching them each the same. They're each different in their own ways. And that answer really depends upon our partners, so the Tlicho government and the band in Colville Lake. So I don't have an answer. We are trying this new way of doing things, and it's going to take longer than it normally would, and it normally takes quite a while to get a school off the ground and built and opened. So unfortunately, I don't have a solid date. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further? Member for Montfouille.
Caitlin just asked too. So, well, it is good that CJBA's working group and technical working group is created that consists of ECE, infrastructure, and the Tlicho government and the TCSA. So I was going to ask about the completion date. When within, you know, when is it going to be completed, this planning stage, like within this, because it's noted in the book that 23, 24, but I just want to know when. And I think you said that you're working with a partner on this as well. So, but there's no timelines, huh? Do you have a timelines of when this planning stage will be completed and then move on to the next stage?
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
Thank you. So right now it's 23, 24 is the estimated completion, but I would not, I wouldn't place bets on that. I think it's a very fluid situation, and like I said, it's new to everyone, us as well as, in this case, the Tlicho government. So we are taking the time we need to do it right. So I don't have a solid answer. Thank you.
From Monfouy.
Although, well, it is disappointing, you know, that 40 million is being removed from the, you know, removed from the capital budget. It would have been nice if that 40 million was left alone and, you know, look at it as a down payment, you know, lift it as a down payment for replacement costs, for replacement then, rather than the retrofit. It would have been nice just left it alone, and because there's no guarantee that, you know, we will be building the school anytime soon. It's going to, you know, the planning stage can take 5 years, or, you know, we don't know, you don't know the timelines too as well. So, yeah, it would have been nice because the school is very important for our Tlicho youth, and like we've said before, I said it, and Tlicho government has said it before, the school is 50 years old. It is old, and it was built by the federal government of the day without consulting the people. And for 50 years, the young people have been have been going from Bichakon to Edzo school, and it takes at least roughly about an hour to get from Bichakon. You know, the return trip is like roughly about an hour, you know, to be on the road, especially on the main highway. Coming from the junction to Edzo, it's Highway 3, part of Highway 3, and it's a main route. It's a very busy route. So, and the attendance, so what we've seen in the past too is that when the student miss a bus, what they've done in the past is that they hitchhike on the highway from Bichakon, you know, and when the school was going through the retrofit, same thing. Students were hitchhiking from Edzo to Bichakon as well. You know, and it goes both ways. So it's really a disadvantage for our young people. So that's why the school is very important for our youth, Tlicho youth, and that's why I really support the Tlicho government on building a new school in our community in Bichakon. It's not just that one alone too. There's a Wati school as well, but I see that there's a little project it was in here. So, but that one I will, you know, talk to you more about it after. So, but it's just a CJBS $40 million is a lot of money, and it would have been nice just to lift it in there as a, you know, as a down payment.
Thank you. Minister Vicini.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, of course, we can't speak to any particular numbers, but I'm not sure who we would make a down payment to. We don't even have land identified for a school yet, so we're a ways off. But I wish the federal government would have built the school in Betchico as well. It would have made this process a lot easier. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Monfouy.
Well, the infrastructure said it before when they successfully found money to build, you know, to build the Frank Channel Bridge because they were short and they successfully found the money. So the 40 million would have been like if it was left alone as a down payment, then they could have lobbied the government to get extra money, because I know that the school is not. It's going to be more than 40 million to build. And from what I heard from some of the leaders, it's that it's like a super school that we're talking about. So, yeah, it would have been nice. So if they left it at that, and we could have built on it. And then it's just that Tlicho or Bichakon is the only one of all the schools in the Northwest Territories. Bichakon is the only one that was told, or Tlicho government were told, to go find your own money, to find the money to build the school yourself. You know, I mean that's the message that we basically heard, is that go find the extra money. So, but it is okay though that, you know, I mean, they're doing that planning stage. They're doing, they created the working group and a technical working group, so which was greatly needed, but it just that it moved from the capital project to the planning, so we're going back again, but if it was left, that 40 million was left, it would have been good for us to build on it. So now I'm just wondering, so if because the school is 50 years old, you know, like it's old, so if any of the infrastructure fail, so is the minister prepared to deal with all these 500 students? Because if anything happened to the school, so where we're going to school these young people? Like there's about 500 students that are registered in Chief Jimmy Bruno School in Edzo. So what are we going to do with them if the infrastructure fail? Do you have a plan? Does the minister have a plan in place? Like, I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Vicini.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the federal government does not fund schools. The bridges are one thing, schools are another. There's a division of power in Canada under the Constitution, and the federal government does not want to get into funding schools, which is generally a provincial territorial area. And so the Tlicho government informed us that they would like to take the lead on approaching the federal government to find funding. I never told them to go find it themselves. And in terms of what would happen if there was a failure at the school, we don't wait until schools are, you know, about to collapse before we start this process. We start this process well in advance so that we don't run into situations like the member's talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Mafwi.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, like I said, the school is old. Like something's going to fail. If something failed, like, do you have money in place? Like 2 million, that's for the planning stage. That's what it was. I don't know if it's changed, but so if anything happened to the school, like, I mean, anything can happen, you know, because it is an old school and it's been there like since 1972. It's 50 years old. So, and it's been through quite a few retrofit before that I am aware of. So if anything happens, like, you know, we don't know, like, so I'm just asking the minister, like, are they prepared? Is there, like, if there was some money left in there for, like, to deal with the major infrastructure failing, would have been nice so that we have a plan in place, we know what to do. If not, is the minister gonna, you know, like, transport our students every day from Bichakon to Yellowknife? Like, is Yellowknife willing to take our kids in? Like, I mean, that's like 500 kids that we're talking about, so that's why I'm just asking that. It would be nice if there was another plan in place, like just in case, because we don't know when this project is going to be completed. The planning stage, where it says estimated completion date is 23-24, and after that, it's the building stage and all that. So I'm just wondering if there's any plan in place. So it would have been nice if there was some money left in the retrofit budget for our capital budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Vicini.
Thank you. So the member's raising some very interesting and different budgeting proposals, and I think that's more of a conversation to have with the Minister of Finance. We budget for projects that we intend to complete, and there are funds in case of school. If there is a boiler that explodes at a school, it's not like there's no money listed in here that so that means we'll just never fix it. We deal with issues as they arise. We perform maintenance. The school is old, but there have been retrofits. There's regular maintenance. So I don't want anyone here to leave thinking that the school is about to collapse and be uninhabitable. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Final.
Well, I was going to ask the minister, will the minister commit to building a new CJBS in Bichakon, part of the capital plan, 100% supported by GNWT?
Thank you, Member. Minister Vicini.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Member for Tabacha.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I want to acknowledge that, you know, I'm probably one of the biggest supporters of education always was, always will be. Education is extremely important not only to young people, but to everyone, including adults. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, first of all, was at the recent Council of Leaders meeting, the Indigenous Leaders Council meeting, one of my friends there that I've sat with for 14 years, and that was the chief of Colville Lake. And him and I used to sit around and have chats during those 14 years that I've sat around the table with him. And a gym should be compulsory for any small community, because not everybody gets to have that, and it shouldn't be on how many people you have in a school. It's a necessity for mental health, for fitness, for everything else, and he always talked about that, and I would really appreciate if the minister considers some of those things for a small community like that, because it's really important for their well-being. And, you know, and I respect that chief very, very much, because he's a down-to-earth, very honest, and a very sincere leader. And I just felt obligated that I have to speak on his behalf. And the other thing I want to talk about is, if we're talking about ages of schools, I just want to make sure that somewhere in the future, I don't expect it today, because there are several buildings that have to be changed in Fort Smith, and we have the 2 federal day schools still standing. And both schools are 64 years old and 66 years old, the 2 oldest schools in the territories. And I'm sure Hay River is not too far behind, okay? Because I remember the you know, in that area of when the schools were built. So I'm not saying today, but I want to make sure that in the future that that we plan. We don't expect 2 schools in 1 year or anything like that. But I want to put the department on notice that those are old schools, and they are federal day schools that were connected to the residential schools that were served there. And I appreciate that things take time, and I know the budget process here, but I just want to make sure that it will be on the radar sooner than later. And I don't have any other questions. I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I don't expect the minister to answer those questions today. Thank you.
Thank you, Member for Tabacha. All right, so if there are no further members to speak to this section, Education, Culture and Employment, Junior Kindergarten to Grade 12, School Services, Infrastructure Investment, $5,623,000. Does committee agree? Agreed. Committee, please turn to page 21, Labor, Development and Advanced Education, with information items on page 22. Education, Culture and Employment, Labor, Development and Advanced Education, Infrastructure Investment, $3,500,000. Does committee agree? Member for Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We don't talk about the Inuvik campus much, so I'll ask a question or two. Firstly, can the minister remind me how much federal money is in the Western Arctic Research Center warehouse replacement here? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister of Iceni.
Thank you. There's money from a number of sources, so I will hand it to Mr. Shannon to discuss that. Thank you.
Thank you. ADM Shannon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the $2.53 million that you'll see under the 2022-2023 capital estimates is federal money that came from CERNAC. The $3.5 million that you see under 23-24 is a GNWT investment in the project. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member for Yellowknife North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I believe this building is already under construction as we speak. Are we on track? When do we expect it to be complete? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister of Iceni.
Thank you. So the work is being done at the site, but I don't believe the project's been tendered yet. We're expecting it in fiscal year 24-25 to be completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Yellowknife North.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my next question is, we're looking at labor and development, advanced education here. There's $3.5 million this year for the Nuvik campus. That's good, but, we have released a facilities master plan, or I forget what we called it, for Aurora College, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars of work to be done. Not seeing that here. I guess, can the minister provide us a bit of an update on when he expects to see some other Aurora College projects go first? I believe first on that list is replacing one of the day schools in Fort Smith. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Minister Vicini.
Thank you. I think the member was referencing the residential school residents in Fort Smith, not a day school. So we are engaging with the federal government to try and find some funds to make these projects a reality. I'm heading to Ottawa in a few weeks to have discussions with a number of ministers. So I don't have a date yet because we don't have the money yet. Development of these facilities is highly dependent upon federal funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Are there any further questions under the Education, Culture and Employment, Labor Development and Advanced Education? Infrastructure investments, $3,500,000. Does committee agree? Thank you, members. Please return now to the departmental summary found on page 17. Member for Cam Lake.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move that this committee defer further consideration of the estimates for the Department of Education, Culture and Employment at this time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The motion is in order. To the motion. Question has been called. All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Minister, and thank you to the witnesses. Sergeant at Arms, please escort the witnesses from the chamber. Member for Cam Lake.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move that the chair rise and report progress. Thank you.
There is a motion on the floor to report progress. The motion is in order and non-debatable. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion is carried. I will now rise and report progress.
Order. May I please have the report of Committee of the Whole, member for Nivik-Twin Lakes.
Mr. Speaker, your committee has been considering Bill 53 and table document 723-19 brackets 2 and would like to report progress with one motion passed and that Bill 53, an act to amend the Liquor Act, is ready for third reading. And Mr. Speaker, I move that the report of the Committee of the Whole be concurred with.
Thank you, member for Nivik-Twin Lakes. Do we have a seconder? Member for Great Slave. All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried. Third reading of bills. Third reading of bills. Minister responsible for infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, I move, second by the Honourable Member for Hay River North, that Bill 52, Elevators and Lift Act, be read for the third time. And Mr. Speaker, I request a recorded vote. Queen Aini.
Thank you, Minister. Colleagues, requested vote was requested. The motion is in order and is debatable. Question has been called. As I mentioned, it's a requested vote was requested. So all those in favor, please rise.
The member for Nuvik Boot Lake, the member for Yellowknife Center, the member for Hay River North, the member for Nuvik Twin Lake, the member for Hay River South, the member for Thabacha, the member for Cam Lake, the member for Yellowknife North, the member for Montfouille, the member for Great Slave, the member for Nahende, the member for Yellowknife South, the member for Satu, the member for Range Lake.
The results of the recorded vote, 14 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. The motion is carried. Bill 52 has had third reading. Third reading of bills. Third reading of bills. Minister responsible for justice.
Mr. Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Nuvik Boot Lake, that Bill 48, Arbitration Act, be read for the third time. And Mr. Speaker, I request a recorded vote.
Thank you, Minister. Colleagues, the motion is in order and is debatable. Question has been called. A requested vote, or a recorded vote was requested. All those in favor, please rise.
The member for Hay River North, the member for Nuvik Twin Lakes, the member for Hay River South, the member for Thabacha, the member for Cam Lake, the member for Yellowknife North, the member for Montfouille, the member for Great Slave, the member for Nahende, the member for Yellowknife South, the member for Satu, the member for Range Lake, the member for Nuvik Boot Lake, and the member for Yellowknife Center.
All those opposed, please rise. All those abstaining, please rise. The results of the recorded vote, 14 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. The motion is carried. Bill 48, Arbitration Act, has had third reading. Third reading of bills. Third reading of bills. Mr. Clerk, orders of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Orders of the day for Thursday, October 27th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. Prayer, minister statements, member statements, returns to oral questions. Recognition of visitors in the gallery, acknowledgements, oral questions, returns to written questions, replies to the Commissioner's address. Petitions, reports of committees on the review of bills, reports of standing and special committees, tabling of documents, notices of motion, motions, Notice is a motion for first reading of bills. First reading of bills, second reading of bills, Bill 58, Bill 59. Consideration in committee of the whole of bills and other matters, Bill 23, Bill 29, Committee Report 34, Table Document 723. Report of Committee of the Whole, third reading of bills, orders of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This House stands adjourned until October 27th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. sharp. Thank you.